I want to do like a D&D psychology profile where I get like $1 million and I hired like a couple psychologists and psychiatrists, and we go and we figure out why people play fighters, why people like the just take it and just get some statistics and be like, oh, you play a fighter, huh? Well, yeah. I guess you're dumb.
Wow.
Well, you play paladins. That means
Colin's
you're
gone for 1 week and you're calling him out this hard. Sheesh.
Yeah. Cullen's easy to call.
Wow.
Welcome to MinusOneCHA, my Dungeons and Dragons channel. This is DM Office Hours, where we talk about all the important stuff, D&D, from, a perspective. My name is James. This is Bobby, and we're talking about D&D snacks today. I think maybe the most important topic, overlooked by countless discussions. I mean, I've never heard Dimension 20 talk about it. I've never heard D&D Beyond, Critical Role. They've never talked about D&D snacks, as far as I know. I could be way wrong. I usually am. But on this one, I think Melissa's hitting on you, Bobby.
I'm gonna ignore that.
You're gonna ignore
and
it?
Move directly into snacks. What snacks do you like, James, when you play D&D?
Well, let's talk about that. What is the criteria? I mean, we're gonna jump right in. By what criteria do we judge snacks? You know what I mean? Are snacks that are messy bad snacks? Are snacks that are non-nutritious bad snacks? I think most people would agree that that's not the case, me included.
No.
Does it have to pair well with the other snacks? Like, I brought mushroom chips once, and they weren't necessarily bad.
I forgot about this.
Yeah, Bobby grew out of the cup.
Yeah, I grew up, guys.
Used in large on him for today. It lasts exactly 1 week.
used to bring like really used to bring a bunch of like weird foods into Colin's game, right?
I used to try and find the weirdest foods every week. Was my favorite part of like snack bringing, I guess. The snack bringing culture for me was always about, bringing something odd or different or new. We have a lot, because I live in LA, we have a lot of markets that are from all over the place. Like, we have a supermarket that has a whole section of like just Russian candies. And I can't read any of it. I can just kind of look at the pictures and be like, maybe they'll like this, maybe they won't. I don't know. And generally speaking, they didn't like them. Because I would always, go for the cheap ones. So yeah. On top of it being a flavor profile that you're probably not used to. But the candies would have stuff on them. Like, there would be like these hard candies with like shrimp, pictures of shrimp and crabs on the outside. Like, this one hard candy was called crabs. And I was like, I gotta buy it. And it was like a sweet berry flavored candy. It wasn't terrible, but it was called crabs. And it had like a cream filled center. It was very strange. I don't know if I liked it. But it wasn't bad. But anyways, that's what I enjoyed.
I really appreciate that you went out on your own and you found a bunch of really interesting snacks to bring with you. I really like that a lot, actually. Yeah. Oh, wow. Got the phone going on, huh?
Yeah, phone making loud noises. Cutting into my headset.
The Star Wars anthem? What was that right now?
All right, I gotta tell people. There we go. None of that. But anyways, oh, wow, Hojin, 20 months. Thank you so much for the Prime.
Whoa, Hoj.
Yeah, you come to see Big Bob. I mean, you come for the D&D, but you stay for the Big Bob.
Yeah, dog.
That's what we're going to call you from now on. I like that.
Big Bob.
Hey, Big Bob. Who is Big Bob?
What's up, Timbo?
Like, in your mind, when someone says Big Bob.
Well, for me, it's my dad, because he's Bob. His name's actually Bob.
Yeah? That's what you think about?
Straight up fact. Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like Big Bob is a character, like a very character-y character.
Oh, yeah. That's
and
definitely
like a TV show, Big Bob is like either the guy who drinks all the beer, you know?
Yeah, that's why I stuck to Bobby. I don't think I could drink all the beer. I can't live up to the standard of Big Bob status. So
yeah.
But yeah,
or he's a
back to
criminal
snacks,
kingpin.
I think it's so important, right, for a DM to bring snacks. I think they even mention it in the book somewhere.
For
like,
a DM to bring snacks?
I think the DM's responsibility is to bring a few snacks, a few chips and soda, right?
The DM brings the game. The players bring the motherfucking
the DM's
snacks.
the host, man, right?
No, the DM's the one who's done all the hard work. What is wrong with you? DM, bring the snacks. Are you kidding me?
I don't know.
All right, I'm gonna be honest. I think there's a lot of factors on who should bring the snacks. If you're a player, I think it's always appreciated if you bring something, just because the DM's doing a lot of work, generally speaking.
That's true. That's okay.
DM's
I'll give you
doing
that.
a lot of
That's
prep
true.
work. So if you're a player, it's something you can add to the game, right?
Yes.
Combine them. When you bust out at the minis, plot twist, mini bagels, we're fighting and snacking. Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
I'm just trying to say, if you're a player and you're going to someone's house, and maybe it's your first time playing or anything like that, and they're DMing for you, they're gracious enough to let you into their home despite all the diseases that you probably have.
Oh my God.
I mean, I'm just talking from personal experience. You're going to their house, and DMing's a lot of work, especially if there's someone who likes to prepare. They've done a lot of work so you guys can have fun. And they have fun together. It's not like they're not having fun. It's not a one-sided thing, but they've done a lot of work. So one of the things you can do to maybe even out the work is just to bring something, or be the one who orders pizza, or chip in a little bit of money if they do bring in. Because I kind of think everyone should chip in, and I know that people's financial situations are not equal. So I don't think it necessarily needs to fall on, like the players or something. If you have the financial freedom to bring the snacks, and that like maybe someone else doesn't, that's totally fine. I know that it can get really expensive sometimes, right? Like I was going to get like a couple weird beers. I found there was a Bev Note near me, and I would try and find the weirdest beer every week, and it was like $10, but then you bring like a snack, which was like some candy or something. That's another like $6 or $7, and then you're paying $10 a week for pizza, and it's $25 a week just to play D&D, and then that's 4 times a week. That becomes $100, right? Like it definitely adds up. Time to find a richer
That's why
DM.
you. Yeah. That's why you share the costs, right? Either split the bill, or you just like take turns every week. Like someone brings their own thing. Like I bring pizza this week. Next week you bring, I don't know, like you bring
rice.
Some.
I brought spaghetti noodles with no
cuisine
sauce
that you like. Yeah. Spaghetti noodles with no sauce. I would murder you.
Everybody, eat your fill.
Murder you.
We're going to be very full. Just people.
Where's the sauce?
Noodles.
Where's it?
Well, sauce is expensive. Big Bob, sauce is the expensive part. We're trying to get you full for as cheap as possible. And I think either rice or spaghetti noodles is probably the cheapest thing you can do. And that's something you can do. Man, spaghetti with like a bottle of sauce is super cheap, and it's always good.
Nobody do this. No,
I'm just saying, if you want to provide dinner, right? You can probably get.
If you want to do a dinner, sure.
You can get like a thing of bread, pasta sauce, and like meatballs if you're fancy or something like that, right? You can probably do that pretty cheap, and you could feed 5-6 people for
that's
probably under $20. So I'm just saying, like. I mean, I know we're talking about snacks right now, but you can't talk about snacks. 5 boxes of saltine crackers. And a sleeve of Oreos. I'll give you the other sleeve next week.
Is this all you brought? Just some saltine crackers? All right. That's cool.
Yeah. And then you do like
some
a puzzle
ginger ale.
where the
nice.
puzzle where they have to eat they have to swallow 10 saltine crackers in a minute.
Yeah.
Hey, tangent.
That's not a bad one. That's actually pretty good.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I used to actually host a lot at my parents' house when I like way back in the day, and I would DM and I would host. And I think the most important part about buying snacks for your group is you want to get something salty, right? So get some chips, something sweet, get some candy, some soda and some water, and that's pretty much it. And then also make sure to ask around because someone might be trying to be healthy, might need to buy some like a veggie platter. And there you go. You're done. That was my always.
I think
chips, candy, sodas,
veggie platters to me, as someone who loves veggie platters, are a scam. Get
that's true.
A floor of broccoli. Get those little baby carrots, which are just big carrots, or just get big carrots and cut them. It's a tiny bit of prep work. You can get your own ranch.
It's like the easiest thing ever. It is the easiest thing you possibly could do.
It is so easy to prepare a at home veggie platter. It's not fun,
but I would stupidly buy the package, the prepackaged one for $20 every single time.
If you're on your way somewhere, there's a time and place for the prepackaged veggie platter. And I think if you're on your way somewhere and you don't have a kitchen like nearby, or you don't have a place, or if you don't have a lot of time, saves you time. I understand. Why am I yawning? That was my get rid of a yawn sound. But that's an easy snack. I would say hummus instead of ranch is healthier. And then if you're really gross like me, you'll do like vegetables with salsa, because salsa's a lot
vegetables
less.
With salsa.
Yeah, like broccoli and like a thicker salsa. I think it's good, but if that's if you're trying to like really cut down, because dipping sauces just add a ton of calories. But they're so good.
We just do hummus, right? Hummus is good for you?
Well, hummus is middle ground, I think. Hummus is good but if you want to eat like a lot of something, sometimes you just are like, I want to eat like an entire thing of broccoli to myself, or I want to have like 600 of something. And you're like, well, baby carrots. Here we go. Yeah. So on the vegetable front, I think there's a lot of interesting vegetables you could do. Easy. Even like bell peppers are easy to just like prepare, cut up, slice.
Yeah. No, you had it on the money, man. Like the broccoli and carrots thing, that's perfect. That's perfect.
And the carrots already come pre-packaged, ready to go.
They're done. Yeah.
Salsa gives you all the purple.
Okay, I want to ask something. So you mentioned earlier that you feel like it's a good idea for if you're a player coming to your game. James is a DM. He spent all night working on a session for me. And my friends, and I'm going to go to your place. I should show appreciation to my DM, right? In certain ways. I think one way, like bring like a snack, bring maybe like a chip for the group to enjoy together. But also, I think in general, like what are other ways to appreciate your DM? I think the big one, obviously, is just like being prepared, right? Coming prepared, knowing what's going on in the story, and really coming in with like some like positive vibes is my personal thing that I try to do whenever I play in your game, at least.
Well, and I appreciate that, Bobby. You always come prepared. Melissa, I feel called out. We're not talking specifically about you.
I don't want to call Melissa specifically, but
I think my favorite thing that players bring when I am a DM that I appreciate is like $1,000 or a brick of gold. Or of course. Precious stones are always accepted.
Yes, your firstborn child, just things that you don't really need, right? Let's
go with secondborn child, because the first, we all know, oldest children have to deal with a lot of crap, and sometimes they just don't turn out, Me being the second child, I have to say, the second child is really where
it's really where
magic happens.
Perfection, this is really perfection comes into play, I think.
Do you have siblings, right? You have a
I'm the oldest, and I have one.
Oh, you are the oldest. See,
sister. Yeah,
proving my point. Your sister's probably happy. Your sister probably has no worries and just like lives life, lets it just ride, because you got hit by everything that was coming right in the front. Thirdborn, we get
man.
forgot so often. It's depressing. Yeah, thirdborn it's a tough role. I feel like.
Oof.
I know a couple families that had 3, and the third child always is like the independent one. At least from what I've seen, because they kind of have to just figure out. It's like, where do I fit in? Oh, I got to go way into left field to stand out. So here you go. It's like the first child is like a singer, plays maybe
Really?
guitar
I thought that
or
was the
bass.
middle child. Wasn't that the middle child thing where it's like they have one kid, they get a lot of attention. Second kid, a little bit less. And then when the third comes in, they're just like, oh, let's just put all the attention on the third kid. And the middle kid is kind of like a little bit
You're
left
the baby
out.
of the family, but I don't know. In my experience, that's not the case. Like the second child is like maybe the drummer.
Oh, yeah?
Maybe the
Okay.
bass player, maybe the drummer. And the third child joins a nudist colony. That's what they do, you know? And you have the family band, and you're like, isn't there one more of you? And you're like, there technically is. Yes. But
Yeah.
you know, well, it's not when you're the last of the 3. It's when you have both, when you're both a bloody middle child and the third one. Oh, that's a big family. I don't know.
Yeah.
I know there was only 2 of us growing up. We didn't have a whole lot of big families around my place. We had one family with 4 kids, but they were spaced so drastically it wasn't maybe the same dynamic. I think the oldest and the youngest were like 25 years apart, so it's like, I mean, I guess that plays into it too. But anyways,
You have an older sister?
Older sister. Yeah.
Okay.
We demand affection. We demand affection. Oh God, I would love. This is what I want to do. I want to do like a D&D psychology profile where I get like $1 million, and I hired like a statistician and like a couple psychologists and psychiatrists, and we go and we figure out exactly like why people play fighters, why people like just take it and just get some statistics and be like, oh, you play a fighter, huh? Well,
yeah.
I guess you're dumb. I don't know. I play fighters. That's why the reason I say that.
Wow.
Well, you play paladins. That means
Colin's
you're
gone
a
for 1 week
sociopath.
and you're calling him out this hard. Sheesh.
Yeah, Cullen's easy to call.
Wow. Okay.
I feel like only sociopaths do play paladins, though. I love them, and I don't know anyone else who loves paladins. You know, people who play wizards want to be strong and powerful, and they just don't want to play in the real world. They're like, I'd rather play in a fantasy world. And I'm like, I get that. That's fun. That's exciting. You're adventurous. You've got grandiose ideas, and they tend to be very flourished people, right? Like bards, right? Bards tend to want to be silly. I feel like I don't know anyone who's like, I play a bard and I'm very serious about my music. You're like, nah, there's no pop rock emo bards.
It's hard to come by.
There are no emo bards. I would love to play.
There probably
an emo
are.
bard,
I haven't seen one, but there probably is.
My name is Weeder Pence.
Nice.
Weeder Pence is a good one. Or I guess it's Wheat Pence. Right.
Yeah. Sorry, yeah, you're right. Yeah, Wheat Pence.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But anyway,
I would like to see a serious bard. That'd be definitely a fun change of pace.
Someone who's just like, if anyone makes a fucking noise while I'm playing, I will end you.
Oh God!
Will end you.
Yeah, just
Thunder
has
wave
no.
ready.
Just have no self-confidence. This is always just like, listen to me. I'm good. Damn it.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, okay, man.
I feel like they're like a flamenco guitar player. I'm making this guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's
making
really
it right now.
passionate. He's super passionate. And what's his name? Flamenco guitar. So he needs a Spanish name, right? What are we gonna name him? What's a good Spanish name?
I don't know. I don't want to. Cortez. Okay.
Yeah,
Cortez.
And you have Cortez, the flamenco guitar playing bard, who's very serious.
But yeah, you're right, Hoj. Chris Pine does play a bard in the new movie coming out soon.
So I wanted to talk about that. I watched the trailer, and he does play music, and he plays the lute. So I'm pretty sure they paid him a bard. But I think they were setting. It feels like they were setting him up to be a rogue. And in the very last scene of that trailer, they were like, "And he plays music too." And I was like, "Oh, he pulled the switcheroo."
Yeah,
interesting.
No, I think the whole idea is that their group is like a band of thieves. But he's kind of like more of a bard character. Maybe he's multi. Maybe he's bard and he's rogue. I don't know. We'll see.
I don't know.
We'll see.
I don't know if Chris Pines could handle multi-classing.
I don't know. I don't know either. We'll have to see, man.
Yeah.
No, I think Chris Pines is a pretty good actor. Actually, I like.
He's a good actor. No,
Star Trek.
Sure. I just don't think he can multi-class. I just don't think he has it in
Yeah.
Right?
But the trailer looked pretty good. I was very surprised. I was like, this actually looks pretty dang good. I'm excited to go watch it now.
The plot is nice. I think it's fun.
Yeah.
There's a few things I would have changed. Something you should know about me is you can give me exactly what I want and I'll be perfectly happy and I'll still complain. I feel bad about that. There's a few things I think I would change, but it's only really in the trailer that I would change because I think there's just a twinge of like, all right, we could do this better. But, for the most part, I think it looks really, really fun. I'm definitely going to go see it. We're probably going to go see it as a group. That'll be something fun, but, we'll just have to see. I feel like we've been burned by D&D movies before.
Well, I think also Hojin brought up there's also been like 3 other movies. I think it was either Hojin or it was, who was it again? Was that Graffiti? I forget, but it was Hojin. But there were 3 other films in the past that have been D&D movies, and I think I saw one and it was pretty bad. So my expectations were very low for this film.
I feel like the last one I saw, the main character's name was Really. Right? Wasn't that his name? Is Really?
His name was Really? That was his name?
I feel like it.
Wow, what an imaginative name. That's great.
Yeah.
Really?
I was like, really?
Really?
Something like that.
Actually, that's pretty funny.
Someone who knows more than me.
At a D&D table, that'd be pretty fun. My name is going to be, it's going to be Really. And then someo's like, Really? And they're like, I get it. People are going to always ask me Really
like,
when it's my name.
Yes.
Yeah.
You called.
Gotcha.
Right. We talked about healthy snacks.
Okay, sorry. Yeah.
Let's talk about the good snacks that everyone actually wants. We're talking red vines. We're talking
red vines are okay. Yep.
We're talking chocolate. We're talking
chocolate
Twizzlers.
Is a little dangerous. Getting a little bit dangerous now with chocolate.
We're talking.
It can be tricky. It gets melty. Gets on the cards, on the paper. You got to be careful, right?
We bring a good point. What about the
you get the coated chocolate? M&Ms are perfect for that, right?
Oh,
coated.
M&Ms? Yeah. Keep that chocolate out of the locklet. I don't know. I was trying to make a rhyme and I couldn't do it.
Keep that really chocolate out of your locket. But no, keep it in your mouth and your tummy, not on your player's character sheets, right? Keep those clean. There you go. There you go.
Character sheet, feet, beat.
Eat
M&Ms for a beat, so they don't get on your character sheet.
Hey, there you go.
Yikes! Yikes! That's pretty bad. That's pretty bad. Give me more time, people.
But those are great, right?
Do we have a guest this evening? We do have a guest this evening. Our friend Gup is going to join us at 8 o'clock. Or 7 o'clock. 7 o'clock PST.
7 o'clock.
Gup is going to join us. And we're going to talk some D&D. Hopefully, we're going to get to see some of his minis. If you haven't, check out our Discord. And he's posted a couple pictures of his amazing painted minis. He's got this giant collection of minis. You're going to see it. You're going to see it. We'll
Gup's got a lot going on. I'm pretty excited to talk to him. He's got minis. Yeah. He makes his own magical items and had these awesome illustrations for them. There's a lot of things going on. He has his own show as well.
D&D show. Yeah. The Golden Mug. So we'll go over all that. We'll go over all that eventually. But right now we're talking about unhealthy snacks.
Okay.
In the chat, if you could settle something for me, Red Vines, Twizzlers.
Oof.
There's a right answer.
Man.
But Red Vines or Twizzlers? I would love to know what the populace thinks, because I definitely am one over the other. But I eat both. I'm one of those. What even is a red vine? Yikes! You and Cullen.
Yeah.
But other snacks. So you're right.
Right now.
So M&Ms
freak out right now on you.
M&Ms are great. M&Ms are really great.
M&Ms,
they don't get everywhere.
Red Vines.
Red Vines or Twizzlers. Gummy candy.
Anything
candy in
really
general
messy.
is pretty good.
Yeah.
Although I will say, if you get a bunch of those like Sour Patch or any sour candy, that sour film gets everywhere. In my experience.
Yeah, it's true. That's true.
So I think like gummy worms are great. Sour gummy worms are terrible and horrible and should never be, at least, if you want to respect it. I mean, have a plate, maybe.
Yeah.
And it's fine. Skittles, Starburst, solid choices.
Those are good.
Especially Starburst because they're individually wrapped. So you don't have a bunch of people's hands going into one container.
That's true. Yeah.
So think about that if you're, if you're worried about hand sanitizer.
Diving into
like
chips,
snack.
right? I think chips, obviously pretzels are easy. So are like Lay's or Ruffles. But then you got to be careful when it comes to anything with a lot of flavor, like a lot of like cheese flavor, like cheesy puffs or
Cheetos,
like
Pringles.
Cheetos, Pringles. Now Kate has a great hack where she uses chopsticks to eat like Cheetos. Doesn't get on her hands, right? It's perfect for that.
Solid.
But
so chopsticks.
You gotta be careful.
Yeah, I think chips. The hard part. This is one of the hard parts I think about D&D snacks for me is like while I'm playing, my mind goes somewhere else, and I just like will consume, and I go into like auto consumption mode, right?
Nice.
And it's hard because those snacks are specifically designed to just like all that salt and all that sugar is just designed to just like latch on and make you crave more, right? Which is totally fine.
Yeah.
But one of my suggestions is to take the D&D snacks, you stick them away from the table on a counter so if someone has to get up to go get more. It's the only way I can portion control, like having the snacks at the table.
Yeah, if they're away from me, I'm not gonna go get it.
I'll have like an entire bag of chips to myself, and I'll be like, "Oops, I brought these to share, but unfortunately, I hate you all." So, chopsticks for popcorn or Cheez-Its. Popcorn's a good one. I think popcorn's cheap. It's fun. You can have a ton of it. Generally speaking, as long as it's not too buttered. A little bit of butter's great. Salty, but like I love like unsalted, unbuttered popcorn. I'm a freak. Yeah. But I actually really enjoy just like the popcorn kernels are like fun to eat. I don't know.
Oh, I brought snacks. They're way over there.
No, but it's like I think there's something to like your brain has to actively stand up, go get some, and then sit back down again. Like, and at least just it portion controls the snacks over the entire session, right? Especially if you're playing for like 8 hours or something like that. Some people play for really
8 hours.
I've played 8-hour sessions before, and that was more of like a once a month group. We would just get together at like 10 o'clock and play all the way till dinner.
Dude, I have always wanted to play for like 6 or 8 hours. I never have, and I think it would be so amazing. I love D&D so much.
Oh
no, I've only played up to 4 hours, maybe 5.
Tangent's done fruit plates. All right, fruit plates, especially. All right, guys. If you live in Los Angeles,
James is excited now.
There are
here we go
carts of people who will cut up fresh fruit for you in a big old container, and it's so cheap. It's like $10 for this giant thing of cut up fruit already served. You can choose everything you want and bring that, and it will be a smash hit. I guarantee you. Because fruit plates in the grocery market are like $30. Fruit plates from this are like $10. And if you have the time, man, just get like a pineapple, cut it up. Mangoes are easy to cut up. Apples, easy. It's a little bit more work, I think, than the vegetable plate, but
definitely, yeah.
But even watermelon, just get a big watermelon and you can just snack on that for like 8 hours. It's great.
Yeah.
Although watermelon's a little messy. Be careful.
It's a little messy. Fruit in general is a little messy.
Yeah. Oranges, I say, are out. Orange juice is so sticky. Apple juice is fine, so apples are in. Oranges, I think, are out. Personally, I think oranges.
Well, this is where some red cups, right? You get some red cups and you get some utensils and you just put some in there. A little bowl. It's like a little like cup, little personal cup of fruit for you, right?
Yeah, fruit's pretty good.
Man, I would go ham sometimes on like buying stuff for my group. I love to decorate. I love to get snacks. I was super into like always being really prepared for my group every week. It was so fun. I haven't DM'd in so long. I missed that.
Oh, Melissa's down. All right. I have a campaign I've wanting to run.
Yeah, you do.
I've been talking to Bobby.
You've been talking in my ear about this campaign I want to do so bad.
Campaign I want to do. Maybe we'll try it out.
I want to do that, but I also want to do what the three of us have talked about for a long time is like a game where like you all start out as like just regular people. Like you're just regular villagers. You have no abilities. You're basically level 0, right? And you kind of eventually slowly start to gain skills as you progress through the story. You know, I want to do that really bad too. But
I've played that once. I played a character who was a farmer. He had no level, and every time he got enough experience points, quote unquote, to level up, the DM was like, let's talk about what you did during that level, and I'll give you like weapon proficiencies or armor proficiencies or, this or that. If you've been really in the fray taking a lot of damage, you probably have a D10 for health, but if you've been someone who's been standing back a lot or not training and stuff like that, it was really, really interesting because you make like a very, very, very you make a very specific character, right? And you can even, when you level up, you can like look through the DMG or the player handbook and give them stuff from fighter or stuff from whatever, right? Probably harder to be a wizard if you have no magic and you're just like Expelliarmus, Zipto Ramondo.
Well, see, it's so hard for me to let go of magic because one of the things that really excites me a lot about D&D is just that it has magic. I love the idea of there being magic in a world that I can somehow tap into, or I can find like magical, cool items that I can use. Like either way, it's just such a cool thing to be able to play with. So it's hard to let go of it, but I would be down to try it out. Like not having any magic at all, like 0 magic campaign. You're just regular dudes.
We gotta play. We gotta have Cullen set this up. We'll do a campaign, and it'll be extremely boring for everyone. Everyone's gonna hate it.
You're all gonna hate it.
All right, cool. Worst. You know what? This campaign is called "Waiting in Line at the DMV."
yeah.
It's just you sitting there with one earbud in. Because you don't want to do 2, because if you miss the call of your number, you're screwed. You're just screwed. So you got to sit there and it's just a series of like B32 serving B32 window number 9.
There's no way, dude. Shoot.
DMV Incorporated.
Were there any more snack things you wanted to talk about?
Let's talk about drinks.
On to anything else?
Let's talk about drinks.
Oh, drinks. Okay, drinks.
Yeah.
All right. Do you have alcohol? Your
okay, yeah. So let's start with non-alcoholic. Let's start with non-alcoholic drinks.
Non-alcoholic. Okay. All right.
I think a giant, accessible resource of water is fantastic. Personally, I think everyone should drink a little bit of water while they play, especially if you have like very salty snacks and stuff like that. Drinks.
I mean, water's a must.
Yeah. Jason
Drinks,
here, BPM drummer. He always brings.
Yes, he does.
Brings
Thank you very much, Jason and Melissa.
Yeah. They always bring like, usually tequila. I think that's their drink of choice, and it's always
tequila.
Great. So shots. All right. Shots
Shot,
are
shot,
tough, right? You can do one shot in the beginning. It depends on your group, right? All right. I am not saying everyone needs to drink, but if you are gonna drink,
yeah, nobody has to drink.
And
yeah,
you don't have an issue with alcohol, because I understand that a lot of people do have issues with alcohol, and I take that very seriously.
Yeah,
so like, take this with a grain of salt. But if you do drink, I think just it's a long game. So you can drink quite a bit, especially if you're playing like
slow.
3, 4, 5 hours, right? So you don't need to do shots or you don't need to do like 4 or 5 shots, right off the bat, if you can even do that. I can't even do more than one. I do one and I'm already like, I can't even think. But do one shot and then get like maybe a drink and just settle in. I'd say just see how you feel. Let the game play out a little bit. I think some people we're
all there to chill out, right? We're not there to get super wasted, right? So at least I don't know. Our table isn't.
I don't know. But I feel like when I have too much to drink, I'm just a player that's just sitting like.
Nice.
And I'm just like looking around the table at people. And they're like, James, what do you do? James, what do you do? Oh, I'm attacking. No, we're talking to the queen right now. Oh, well then I attack. You're dead. All right, moving on.
Yeah. I've only been drunk one time, and it was when I was DMing, and like that's the worst because it's so hard to do math when you're drunk. So that was a terrible idea. I should not have gotten drunk.
That's a good point. Yeah.
It was New Year's. It was like close to New Year's, so.
So drinking can be hazardous. I'd say just go really start slow. Maybe do a shot to get the party going, but start slow and ease into it because, an hour or 2 hours can pass by and you can realize, oh my God, I don't remember anything that just happened in the last 2 hours. We did something. Yeah. I was so in the game. I was in the zone.
What happened this session? I don't know any. Oh, geesh.
So then if you are going to bring beer, if you are a beer drinker, I played with a guy. Played with a guy who was certifiably a Viking. His ancestry was like, I was a Viking from Scandinavia. And my parents came over, XYZ. And this dude, he was big. He was like a good 6'2", I think. And he was probably like 250 pounds of pure muscle and weight.
Wow.
And this guy could drink. Okay. He could drink probably 10 to 12 beers in a session.
Wow. Okay. And, good for him. Jeez.
And so some people can drink a lot. And if you are somebody who can drink quite a bit, let's talk about beers that go well. If you're going to bring beers for people, stouts, not great. Super filling. A little bit more expensive, hard. I mean, we always
maybe during winter.
We always drank like PBR because PBR is cheap. But there's some really fun. What's that? There's a drink called California. It's like Melon Cart. What is the name of the brewing company that I really liked? Melon Cart. Melon Cart was by a company, Golden Road Brewing.
Golden Road?
Golden Road has some great, if you like more fruity beers. I'm like a light beer, fruity beer kind of person. Oh, I froze Bobby. There you go. He's back. Golden Road, I think their mango's good in the melon, but take that with a grain of salt if you like fruity beers. If you don't like fruity beers, I think IPAs are disgusting. So like if you drink IPAs, all of them are wrong. They're just wrong, incorrect. So like, but I can't help you there. As far as the lighter beers go, I think PBR, bang for buck. Like, I'm not saying PBR's the greatest beer, but bang for your buck, I don't think it's bad.
Also, Jason says it's always ale in the pubs in the campaign, so I always think of something amber. So Smithwick's or something similar. Also said that IPA is garbage, which I kind of agree with.
What's that really popular ale? Oh my God, why am I blanking right now?
Oh, really popular ale?
Oh my gosh, what's that one that everyone drinks?
I don't know. I don't know. I can't think of it.
Oh my gosh. Ale.
Just like it's like a dark beer or like a
no.
like
oh my god.
Stone?
I'm looking at it right. Newcastle.
Newcastle. Okay, Newcastle.
Newcastle's a great. Or if you like, I think we're just like naming beers that we like now. Blue Moon or Shock Top with an orange inside or a citrus
that's
fruit.
good.
Really good.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
if you want to bring
good.
something, those are always fun. Mead too. Oh yeah. Mead is a fun one. Mead itself, hard to drink a lot of, at least for me, just because it's a little sweeter. But it's a fun like drink to like, I don't know, like switch things up a little bit, right? Doesn't have to be beer.
Yeah.
Wine also solid choice if you're a wine drinker. Stella or Dos Equis, solid choices.
Yeah.
Non-alcoholic drinks.
I mean, that's pretty simple, right?
I think-
Water.
I
drink some
personally
soda.
think water, right? Water.
Yeah.
Always have a lot of water, but I think juice makes a bad D&D drink, and I'll tell you why.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Juice is pure sugar, and not only is it pure sugar, it's not carbonated, so you can just drink it incredibly fast. At least I think with sodas, if you're gonna have one or two, sodas are hard to drink fast just because they're carbonated. That's my personal thing. Hot chocolate, yeah, hot chocolate's solid. I was gonna go into
good.
coffee
Yeah.
next. I think coffee is actually one of my favorite D&D drinks, despite it like, despite it not being like, you know, I don't think it's a super common. Maybe it is. But we always did like, I would like to make like, I make a big thing of like cold brew or just hot iced coffee, right? You just get a bunch of hot coffee, brew it earlier in the day, shove it in your refrigerator, and then, you know, stir it or mix, you know, if you're going to make it with like a little honey or sugar or anything like that, mix all that in beforehand when it's hot so it melts, mix it all up, and then put it in the fridge so you have like the big carafe of like coffee or something like that. I don't know. That's something I like to do, but that's just me because I'm a coffee fanatic. What are you smiling for? What are you smiling for?
Sorry, that was a loud car. No, sorry. Got a few different comments here. So, Golden Mug likes to have milk in their campaign, and they like to have it be either goat, pig, or horse, and then watch the players' faces when they tell them that.
Oh man, I don't think I've ever seen horse milk for sale. That's fantastic. or are you saying drinking regular milk and then just telling them? I mean, how are they gonna know? Be like, this is human milk.
This is some human milk. Yummy.
Oh god.
Man. Yeah, charcuterie boards are a peak D&D food for sure. I love charcuterie boards.
Charcuterie board. That's not a bad one either. But charcuterie board again takes up space, so you got to have it away from the table, right? You got to go and procure yourself some cheese. You know, if you do cheese and like some just charcuterie in general, feels very D&D like because you can can see like 15th century adventurers with a little bit of cheese and like hardtack and a few pieces of fruit in their bags or something like that. Charcuterie is a solid like D&D themed snack board.
Yeah, man. That's so fun. That's so fun. I love that. It's making the whole just making the environment you're actually in feel like you're in the game a little bit. Like having some candles, maybe like buy some of those fake wooden like plates and stuff, and then put like cheese and crackers and some grapes or whatever, and just like make it feel like a tavern environment almost. I love that feel so much.
God, Bobby, I feel like you're trying to like seduce us. You're like, just put some cheese and crackers out, and
it just I don't know. It just provides like a certain feeling, you know.
Underwear, just so you feel, it feels real. You know, I don't
Slowly
know. Some body
bring the
oil
grapes to your mouth.
Yeah. Some bronzer. I don't know. It's up to you. Just try it.
Pour the horse milk all over. No.
Jumbo box of cosmic
far.
brownies. Oh man, brownies and cookies, not bad. Solid foods. They don't get everywhere. Brownies maybe a little bit more grimy than cookies are, as far as like sticky. But brownies, you can make a giant tray of them for like what, like $6-7 for that brownie mix, the all inclusive.
Yeah.
And you just cook it. If you freeze the brownie, or not freeze them, but like cool the brownies in the refrigerator, I feel like,
oh yeah,
if you like chewy cold brownies, because I do,
yeah,
not as sticky when you eat them. I like actually like dried out brownies a little bit. It's like chocolate cake when you've dried it out, so it's like a little chewy.
Yeah,
it's weird, but
yeah, I can see that.
I'm into it.
I'm into
like
it.
Slow tavern music. Yeah, just on the lute, and you're like,
yeah.
I've been really trying.
Gosh, the chat's cracking me up pretty hard tonight.
Bardic charm and careless whisper.
Also, I don't know if you saw earlier, but V Demon Disguise said, make sure it's female horse milk, which I was like, yeah, definitely.
I'm drinking bull milk.
Oh, God. What are you doing?
Bull milk. Oh, it's got that one really long udder. Just the one.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness. All right.
That's what you should sell. That should be a product we sell. Bull milk. It's like protein powdered milk beverage. Just call it bull milk and see how many people are like, oh, what? Oh, God. You put like, what is it? Like just testosterone supplement in there?
Yeah.
For anyone who just wants to be, a raging, aggressive lunatic. You just have bull milk. Oh, that's so going in our campaign. You just have like a thing of a bull milk and it gives you haste, but afterward you're like unnecessarily like aggressive to everyone.
Yeah,
and
it gives
everything.
you like random bursts of rage, like you can't control it or something like.
Yeah. You're like, I'm gonna start a fraternity right now, and you just go storming off, leave the group.
Nice. Oh my God.
Just a ton of testosterone. We'll call it preposterone.
Okay. I've like lost all sense of control of this. Of what I'm
D&D
talking
snacks. Right now. D&D snacks. We're talking
D&D snacks.
Talking
right.
preposterone bull milk.
God. Stop saying bull milk.
Preposterous amount of testosterone. Preposterone. Okay. Kelwise whips up some sashimi for the crew every now and again. All right,
yeah,
all right,
buddy.
Let's get real fancy. Let's talk about caviar and sushi.
Oh my God.
Sushi. I've gotten sushi once for a group, and it was actually pretty nice because here's the thing. If you get really expensive snacks, I say keep it to a small amount. We should talk about proportion control real quickly too. Because if you get something like sushi, it's gone like that. You eat it all, everyone gets it, and then you're at the table.
You don't want too much,
with some
right?
Drinks.
Yeah.
Well, you're at the table with some drinks, and there aren't if you don't have a bunch of extra snacks, sometimes you don't have a lot of chips getting crunched around. You don't have people like trying to fight candy wrappers and stuff. Like sometimes it can be really distracting. So if you get something really nice like sushi, everyone eats, everyone's feeling satiated to a degree, or you get some and you just stick it in the fridge for later or something like that, you can focus on the game and you're not worried about snacking the whole time. That can be, I don't know. It can be.
I don't know, man. Like, well, I don't know about fancy stuff, but like for me, like being able to snack through the whole like home game, I gotta snack. I gotta be snacking. I gotta be like getting like beverages whenever I want to. That's a big part of it for me, personally. I
don't know. I think some people like to snack, and that's totally fine. But loud, like plastic bags, especially chip bags. If you do get a bag of chips like Lay's, let's talk about this. Stick it in another bowl. Stick it in a bowl. Throw that bag away.
Stick it in a bowl. Yeah, stick it in a bowl. Yeah,
because There's nothing worse than having two people be like, I'm gonna give this eulogy for our friend that we lost. Big Bob was a friend to all of us. And I always remember when he first told me the one secret to life, which I'll share with you now. Let us all remember Big Bob.
Nice.
I don't know.
No, you're right. You're right. It can be distracting for sure. You don't want a bunch of noises in the background constantly while you're trying to like DM.
Snacking,
I get
fiendle
it.
playing
I get
games. Dang. Yeah, you do like, but you're not a distracting snacker though. Jason's a pretty
okay.
BPM drummer, a very cordial snacker. He might snack like crazy, but he's never making a big flourish about it or a lot of noise.
Okay. Well, let's see here.
What?
Sorry, I'm like you, where I get distracted by the chat and I can't like talk and
so
also chat.
And stuff?
We need Colin here. We need Colin back.
Sugar
Where's
string
Colin?
nest. So, anyways, I'm gonna say like.
Wait, we gotta.
There's
Okay,
a lot
so
of good snacks,
Litter
but just
997
keep it-
put this down twice, so they want us to see it, obviously. So, okay, I made a quick, fun campaign. The players are trying to escape a warehouse and being tracked down by Jason from Friday the 13th before the killer killed them, one shot himself, and in the head, shoved hot sauce of the others you know where, and one broke their spine. How? What do I even do? Help! I don't know what that means, but that's cool. I mean, a Friday the 13th campaign sounds dope.
I mean, yeah,
as all
I
hell.
feel like you can go
That'd be
anywhere.
awesome.
Friday the 13th is Dream World stuff, anyways, right? So,
Yeah.
I mean, hot
I mean,
sauce.
during like
Wow. I'd say
October,
just
I
go
used to
with it.
love.
Go with it.
Well, during
Hot
October,
sauce?
I like love to just like play a bunch of horror one shots. It's the best.
Yeah, we'll have to do that more often. All
You
right.
do. It's
We're gonna
lot
go
of
on a
fun.
quick. We're gonna go on a quick 5-10 minute break, and when we come back, we're gonna have our special guest Gup, or the Golden Mug, joining us. We're gonna talk some D&D. We're gonna talk minis. We're gonna talk running a stream and how different it is on and offline. We're gonna talk a lot of D&D. So don't go away. Welcome back.
Hey.
We're back from our break. We're here with Gup, our friend from from online. We pretty much met you online, right? And then part of our Discord community. If you want socials, Twitter
Twitter's
and
where I'm the most
Instagram.
active, in Instagram. Yeah.
Red Beans and Dice. So check those out. Or if you want the Golden Mug on Twitch.
Mhm. Yep.
So let me actually I'll write that down. But anyways, thank you so much for joining us, Gup.
Well, thank you for having
We're really
me. I
excited to
appreciate it.
have you here.
Cool.
This is fun. You are our first official guest that isn't like a friend of ours from somewhere else. You
Well,
know what
I'm
I mean?
honored. That's awesome.
So
Sweet.
I mean, like friend, but like you know what I mean. Like
yeah.
I've never met you before in person. So
Right. Yeah.
So
No,
this is
we're
exciting.
very
This is
far
fun.
apart geographically, from what I understand.
oh yeah, whereabouts are you?
I am. I try to mask it in my voice, but I'm from Arkansas, so I have I usually have a very thick accent, but don't like it.
Nothing
so
wrong with
do
that.
my
That's
best to
great.
change that.
I would do anything to be able to use an accent with any kind of proficiency. No, but that's great. Well, welcome to the show. We were just talking about at the break. We were just talking about minis and painting. I don't know if you guys at home do any mini painting, but it's a I don't want to say it's a lost art form because I know plenty of people still do it, but I don't feel like it's nearly as prevalent as it was when I was younger.
Oh, yeah.
Like
I think
I
it's
remember like 40K.
The virtual.
Yeah, exactly. Like Warhammer 40K was all about painting. Like you couldn't even play in the Games Workshop unless you had painted minis, which I just primered them once and then did it like I took like blue and just put blue on all their hairs and I was like, they're painted. They were like, ooh, okay.
Nice.
Nice. Oh, hello, Raiders. Hey, Seashell. Thank you for the raid.
Hey, Seashell. Hey.
We're talking with our friend Gup, DM on the Golden Mug and Red Beans and Dice on Instagram and Twitter.
Yeah.
God, there's so many. It's like Twitch, Twitter, TikTok. We're just we miss you too, Seashell. We're just talking about minis painting right now. And how I feel like with like Hero Forge and pre-painted minis and stuff like that, I feel like it's really changed the game on painting minis. How do you feel about that, Gup?
I mean, it's very daunting to get into as well, because you've got minis are kind of like expensive and stuff, and so you're like, what if I screw this up? What if it looks terrible? And newsflash, all your eyeballs are going to be horrible. So just get over it and do it, because most of mine are looking both opposite directions, but it's all right. It's fun.
Yeah. Everyone's got like a lazy eye syndrome a little bit, but that's to be expected. And I think you can expect your first 50 minis to look a little haggard.
Oh yeah, I've still got my first one I ever painted, and I did not touch it up or anything. I was like, well, I want it to kind of be a progress point from the first one to like current, and I look at it and I'm like, oh, this is real bad, but there it is.
No, but it's great. It's like a whole journey, right? You have your newest mini, and you're like, oh, I did good on this, and then you compare them, and you're like, yes, I have improved.
I still use it.
Please take a picture of that first one and show it to us later. I want to see that.
I'll post it in Discord. Yeah.
Post it in the Discord. That'd be great. There's so many techniques too. BPM Drummer asks, do you have any recommendations on brushes for painting minis? We'll get into brushes, but brushes aside, there's so many techniques that come with painting minis, right? Yeah. Like inking and dry brushing and whether you highlighting. Yeah. And then like what colors do you use to highlight? Do you mix in a little whites? When do you use highlights? When do you use low lights? I know that's been like an issue for me, is I'll do like highlights and I'll look online and I'll be like, oh, that should have been darker. That's obviously a shadow. I'm a moron. I've made all the shadows lighter. I mean, that's if you're into that kind of like really detailed stuff, and then like if you do a dry brush, but you don't dry the brush enough,
it comes out looking chalky and stuff, but you get just a little better every time. Shading is still hard for me, so I use like the oils and stuff that they're cheating, but hey, it looks good when it's all said and done.
They're not cheating. They're not at all. Shading is it's tough. It's really, really tough, because you got to be very delicate with it and just do layers and layers and layers, right? Oh my God. So how do you get into like that? Where did you learn to do shading and inking and oils and all that stuff?
Well, COVID had a lot to do with that, because everything shut down, and I had just started really getting into D&D just a little before COVID came out. I'd always wanted to play, but never had people to play with. But we started doing this online stuff, and it's like, okay, so I started getting some minis and painting just for fun, and then watching YouTube tutorials and watching people and how they do this, and I'm like, oh, that's amazing. I can't do that, but I'm gonna try. And you have to soak some minis in some liquid that could probably remove skin from your body and try again. But
yeah, right. I mean, no blood, no foul, right? Like, if you don't have a permanent burn on your hands, like, then what are you even doing, right?
Yeah, who needs gloves?
Yeah.
yeah.
Who needs skin? Nobody needs skin.
You're getting called out here. Nurse Wiggles says, Gup still gets a wonky mini here once in a while.
Yes, she's seen my terrible box of, what do I call it? My box of despair. They're hidden in a drawer and they don't get used.
Box of despair.
Yeah.
It's like, you're like, oh, you guys are going to this third ring of hell in this campaign, and I'm going to bring out my box of despair minis.
It's got a neon blue and neon red and still white dragon. And I'm like, well, I don't know what to do with this. I'm going to put it in a box.
Wow. Yeah, because like those paints are like pretty, they're like permanent. Like by nature, they're like really solid, right? Like it's hard to take off like strip paint from a mini. Like nearly impossible. I feel
you can soak it. There's something you can get at Dollar General, and I can't remember what it's called for the life of me, but it's like a few dollars at Dollar General, and you can soak your mini overnight. But if I print some of my minis with a 3D printer or resin, and like if it's resin, then it'll kind of eat away some of the detail, and So I'm just kind of stuck with it. Plastic's usually okay though.
Printing minis. That's a whole new thing. That's like
Yeah.
Like you can just kind of print, like you're like, all right, we're doing undead. I need like skeletons. Where do you find, like, you have to get like the I don't even know what the file's called.
TL
like
files.
AutoCAD file? TL file. Okay.
It's STL. Yeah, STL files.
STL.
There's a dude on Twitter, and I can't remember his name. It's like MZ something or other, but he made all of the D&D figures from the like monster manual and put them up for free online. Like Wizards came after him. He was like, I'm not selling these. They're not for profit, and it's free, so it's legal, and they're all out there. And he's made them, and he's doing God's work. He's a hero.
Yeah. Truly.
You've made it when a big corporation tries to sue you, right?
Oh, yeah.
When you get a cease and desist, you're like, I'm doing it. I'm making it. Like, we always talk about that. We always say, like, the best thing that could ever happen to us is for, like, Wizards of the Coast to be like, excuse us. You are creating, I don't know, like, profit loss for us, which means you're big enough to do something like that. But yeah,
you're on their radar.
If he's not making any money on it, right? Like,
yeah, a lot of his are on my shelf. It's like just download them and print them. Yeah, like you said, if you're facing undead or something like that, I need to print off a bunch of skeletons. It still takes a long time, though. It takes 4 hours. Yeah, for just like 1 minute, normal sized mini, and so it's time.
So it's just like the undead, just very slow.
yeah, slow form of necromancy.
I mean, listen. If you're going to raise something from the dead, you're animating a corpse or a zombie, I think 4 hours is reasonable.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
It's reasonable.
There's got to be some time there to like readjust to how relearn to walk in shambles,
Yeah.
Learning curve there.
It gives you time to like name each one of them. You're like, all right, Sean. Once your head is formed, Sean, you're going to be, I'm going to give you a shield and a club, and you're going to be a frontliner. Because I'm
like imagining like a necromancer now with like a daycare of just people that they're just like slowly teaching how to like walk again and stuff.
Trying to teach them English, but everything's,
Yeah.
Oh, Fred's never going to get it.
I was a life coach turned necromancer.
Oh my
there
God.
You go. There's a character idea.
There you go. That's great.
Roni Tobbins. Roni Tobbins, the
oh my God,
influencer, life coach, and necromancer. I don't know. If you look at Tony Robbins, that guy's got like this giant chin. I'm like, he might be undead. I don't know. Maybe he's an automaton. That guy's intense.
That's a qualifying factor for undead is really large chin. They have to.
Really big chins. That's part of it.
They're all juicers. Yeah. They're
like
all testosterone.
Chins,
supplements in there. Moving from minis, you play on the Golden Mug, where you DM quite a bit, and you've played in person. Since then, right? How is it playing live versus playing online? Like, what's
so different?
Like, which do you prefer? You think there's benefits to one versus the other?
I like, they're just kind of two different dynamics. I like in person is kind of easier. Like the conversation, like talking and you can read the room and body language, visual cues and stuff are real important. So when you're like physically sitting around the table, you can kind of see who's about to lean forward and start talking or read the language. And there's that. And I love minis. I make terrain and stuff like that. And so I love using this stuff and like the 3D imagery, like the boat and stuff y'all use on yours and stuff. Like that's all a lot of fun to have set up. And so I really like that aspect, and virtually is fun. You get to make maps and all that you couldn't really do in person. But there's something about just having the physical mini and camaraderie of the table around and people drinking and eating. Y'all were talking about snacks at the table. Like No, we from the South here. We like eat burgers and hot dogs and bratwurst while we're all playing D&D, and you know,
Dude, that's
like
a good
that,
snacks food too. Yeah, I mean, I threw out spaghetti, but was like the cheap. Like if you're going like the cheapest possible, but
yeah,
you could probably do like hot dogs and burgers and stuff.
Yeah, do a little barbecue. Yeah, that's nice.
What's great about barbecue food too is like you always make too much. Right, like inherently, that's a part of it. Yeah, exactly, yeah. Right. So it's like if you start at 12 o'clock, you got dinner covered already. It's just a microwave away.
Yeah, but online, you know, it's streaming is, I want to say, easier. I've not streamed in person before, but you know, and streaming adds a whole different element to the game as well. And virtually is, I'd say if I had to pick one or the other, I would play in person with the people that I play virtually with. That's the thing, is the people who play in our campaigns that I've been playing with for, you know, over a year now. I love them, and they are far away. So like playing in person is not an option. That's one thing I think is really cool about watching y'all is every now and then you see you all gather around the table and you play virtually. That's really neat. That's cool. I can't have my friends from Seattle come down here to Arkansas. And yeah.
Man, I'm sorry to hear that.
Ride, right? It's just across a couple states.
It's real short. Yeah.
It's just 2 time zones. I mean, yeah, that is like one of the hard parts I think about. I think a lot of people, especially in COVID, found some great groups that they mesh well with, you know, because when you find that group that you have a certain synergy with, and you create a culture that you just love and would like die for, it's hard to give that up for any reason. And if you started online, chances are that it's because being in a close proximity wasn't an option. And so it is like a very, very, very tough ask, I guess, to play live like that, especially like to try and stream a game, a live in person game, which if any of you are thinking about trying to do that, it is a lot of work. It's a lot of things you don't think about, microphones and cameras and stuff like that. Like, and if you have any questions, go to our Discord, and I'd love to talk to anyone about that. If you're trying to set that up, I'll try and help you out with everything I know. But just like certain things come into mind, like when you're streaming online, you use a dynamic mic, right? Generally speaking, it's easy. It cuts out a lot of the other sound. It doesn't have a lot of noise into it because it's not like just picking up everything. But when you stream live in person with a bunch of people around the table, generally speaking, you use different microphones which start picking up like room tone and stuff like that. Or if you're not playing in Discord has all this noise reduction that works great if you have one person speaking into one microphone. But if you have 2 people speaking into one microphone, like its algorithm or whatever is like, oh, this is white noise. Let me just cut that out for you. And then you have 2 people just like, you know, it's wild. Gosh.
I didn't think I was going to be able to manage going from in person to online play. Cause the big thing for me, I wasn't very into playing video games online. So when I found D&D, I was like, oh my God, this is like my sanctuary. I can like play with people in person again, hang out in person. It was so fun. So I didn't think there was any way at all I would ever like playing online. But because, you know, you guys are so fun to play with, I actually do have a great time. But it was a hard transition to make. But because of COVID, we were kind of forced to make it, and I've gotten used to it now. But it is a very different way of very different feel to it for sure than in person.
I definitely think it's opened up more people like me. Personally, I'm an extrovert. I love going out and meeting people. I love to talk. Like I can't shut up most of the time. I don't meet a stranger, and drives my wife nuts when I'm standing in the bread aisle talking to somebody at Walmart for an hour, and she's like, "Come on, let's go." But
nice.
You know, there's a lot of introverted people that are more comfortable. They're like, "I'm in my home. I'm sitting here. I can cover my camera if I need to, and we can play." And so it's opened up more people, I think, to the game. So
Yeah,
No,
for sure.
definitely,
It's just made it
definitely.
more accessible too, right? Like you're saying, like if distance is a problem, I mean, it used to be like before everyone was playing online, I would always tell people like there's something called Adventure League. You have to go and find a hobby shop near you and try and get in. And those groups were like few and far between. I feel like Adventure League games were like you check in once a day, every day to see if a spot is opened up. And then if a spot opens up, you jump in and you never let go. It doesn't matter what the group is. The group could be awful, they could be terrible, but the alternative is not playing. So you just jump into the group and then the DM knows like you have nowhere else to go.
Yeah, I am king.
Own you.
Oh my God, where did you go to play? That sounds
set up
terrible.
like a Patreon that you have to be a part of to play in there. No, I'm kidding.
Sheesh.
It's definitely not like that. But there are like a limited number of seats at the table, right? Like, and if you don't, you don't have a group or you don't want to, if you don't want a DM, it's tough, right? Because we all know like no one chooses to be a DM when they start playing the game. You become a DM out of necessity because no one else.
Well, yeah.
Because none of your other
played
friends.
a game before.
Exactly.
I just DM'd.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and because all your friends are like, well, if you want to play, you're gonna have to do it, and you're like, okay, all right, this is a book. It's got words and it says things. Take that as you will.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I remember playing in high school. I didn't know what I was doing. I bought a module and we were like, all right, we're gonna play this module. And then we'd like be playing and I'm like, all right, and this is the next part. All right, we're running this. We're going good. And then you have to fight this guy by yourself, it says right now. And he's level 6 and you guys are still level 1. I've done something wrong. What did I do wrong?
I think I
And
missed
flip back
few
and I'm
pages.
like, oh, there's like tons in between here that you guys just didn't lay out for me. I don't. Oh,
Yeah, I was trying to power read it, but
yeah, exactly. There's a castle. The castle's got stuff in it. All right.
Yeah, I would love to know that, Gup. So I guess I'll ask, how did you meet your group, your online group? Because you're all in different places, you said. So how did you guys all meet?
Well, I had friends, when I first started running Lost Minds of Fendelver, first time we played, I just said, okay, I have these friends from different friend circles, you got different circles of friends or whatever. And I'm like, I think these people would all get along well. And we played, right. I played WoW with this guy, I played League with this guy, and I know these people in real life and, like my brother-in-law and stuff, but he's in a different state. And so I said, let's all get together and play on Roll20 and play together.
Nice.
There's like 7 players and myself, and that's a lot, especially for a first time, never played before.
That's
and then after the first campaign, which was like a year and 10 months, it kind of whittled down to the core group of people that I had playing. And I asked the D&D Beyond forums at one time. I was like, hey, I'm looking for a couple people who will stream. I need, quiet environment, a good mic and camera setup that wants to play some D&D, take the streaming a little seriously. And from there, I have 2 players that are playing with me now that if I had a choice, I would never play D&D without them. They're just superb. And I just knew them from the D&D Beyond forums. They were like, hey, and I was like,
that's cool.
Worked out real well. Lucky.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Wow. I've heard some horror stories.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's so funny because I've heard horror stories all the time in like Reddit forums and stuff like that, D&D Reddit. And I played on Roll20's matchmaking for a little while. And generally speaking, I had decent experiences. It was mostly just like the groups would fall apart because of scheduling or something like that, right? Or people wouldn't take it seriously.
Usual.
And there's actually like they started doing like interviews and stuff. Like DMs would interview people to see how serious you are and things like that, how much you've learned, which I understand is like a necessity if you're trying to put like a core group together. Yeah. But like it got really intense. So I think you probably lucked out finding like 2 great people like.
Yeah, I think
right
so. I think I'm pretty lucky. And, I've played with some random people before on D&D Beyond, and like, we do like community one-shots where just, anybody that can sign up and wants to play, and we'll stream it and stuff like that. But, everybody's kind of in Discord hanging out and we get to know each other. So, been pretty lucky so far and haven't had any real horror stories, especially not on stream. So
that's great. That's great.
That's always something I think like it's tough. Like when you bring somebody that you don't know, like you couldn't vouch for them, right? Like you couldn't be like, hey, no, he was with me. He definitely did not kill that person. it's tough like to bring somebody because you're always just like, okay, I'm gonna put this button right over the end stream section, and if I need to, I'm just gonna click
to be ready.
Oh god. But that's good to know that like you've had great experiences, because I think for the most part, one of the things I'm really impressed by with this resurgence of Dungeons and Dragons is the community tends to be very positive.
Oh, yeah.
The community tends to be really helpful, and like welcoming. That's one of its greatest assets, I think, for the Dungeons and Dragons. Just the community. It's just fantastic.
Yeah. I agree. It's a nice breath of fresh air, because there's a lot of negativity going around, and mostly this community in and of itself is really like nice, and people are just genuinely happy to be a part of the hobby. And I see on Twitter like a lot of content creators just uplifting others, and it's like, oh, it's nice. It's less competing for a space and more of, hey, this person's awesome. I like to see that.
That's something that is like interesting, right? Because in a lot of places, especially social media, it's like quid pro quo, like I'll help you if you help me, or I'll only help people who are gonna help me down the line or something like that. And you're right, like D&D people, especially like influencers, tend to be very, very open about, hey, this person did this, which is amazing, or this person did this, or like all the different like what is it, Bella Souls is that website, or Bella Souls, is that what it's called? Anyways, in my Google feed, I get all kinds of like websites and stuff talking about like really small projects or streams or things like that. They'll like go out and find them. They're like really integrated into like the group and then the community, which I find kind of amazing. I feel like I stream and like we play a lot, and I like have no time to like, I feel bad sometimes. Like I feel like like a little bit of imposter syndrome, right? Like, it's like, I don't know the next book that's coming out. I was like, oh man, like Spelljammer. I was like, man, I haven't looked into it at all. Like I'm still like reading through Tasha's.
Oh yeah, they've come out with like, it's like been like bam, some stuff coming out, and consecutively. I haven't read any of the Radiant Soul stuff, and I'm still running like some Candlekeep stuff that I haven't got to run through yet, and I'm like, falling behind here.
It's tough. And then they announced like, I think they announced like 2024. They're looking at that for like 6th edition. Which I was like
5.5, I think is what they said.
Oh,
if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, okay. I think so. I think that's why they're doing this whole multiverse of monsters and stuff, and kind of like reforming some of 5e. Okay. Yeah, that'd be good.
So you're fairly new to the hobby. So you started in 5th edition, right? What do you think about like how the game has evolved since maybe the beginning of the pandemic? Because I've noticed I started playing in 3rd edition, and it's like, when the game first releases, you get the handbook, the DMG, and the monster manual, right? And the classes all come out very balanced. They're very they're very core to the game. You don't have like all these extra races and things like that. I mean, you could always play them. It's just you don't have like set mechanics and stuff like that. Yeah. And as the game develops and evolves, they have to. I mean, like Wizards of the Coast has they have a hard deal, because it's like they have to keep putting out products people can buy, right? Because technically you can buy the DMG, the PHB, and the Monster Manual, and you can never spend another penny, and you can play the game for the rest of your life, right?
Yeah, you can, yeah.
I mean, no one does, because you got minis and you got to get dice and you got to get all that other stuff, right? But you know what I mean. So they have to keep putting this stuff. But like, how is it like felt for you to see this like 5th edition kind of evolve, and like they've exploded the number of races, they've exploded the number of classes.
I think they've, and I think it's become so mainstream, and I've done a lot of research, looked into like 3.5 and Pathfinder and 4E, and they noticed, I think I see a trend, 4E was not popular at all, and it was just chock full of rules. And then they see all these new people coming into the hobby, and more for the what do you call it, the story, more for the role play aspect and the telling the story, as opposed to crunching numbers. And they're like, oh, well, these people want to play tiny rabbit people with big chainsaws. So this, and you know, they want a story behind it. So, you know, let's just throw caution to the wind and throw it out there. I mean, and I've seen that, and it's just getting more and more popular, a little more and more kind of like inclusive with the rules and stuff, and more people are biting into it. And you're always going to have people that don't like it. Not everybody likes everything, and that's fine, because that's the joy of Dungeons and Dragons. You can still play it your way. Yeah. You know, it's just more for more people, and so it's just continuing to grow because it accommodates more people.
Yeah, because I would say that that's a good point you make about like just you don't have to play with all the books, right?
Yeah.
Now, some players would get annoyed and stuff, and this is also, you know, a discussion you have to have. But like our friend Cullen, who's usually on this channel with us, he made a campaign and he's like PHB, and that's it. If the spell's not in the PHB, you can't have it. If the class isn't in the PHB, you can't have it. And if it's like something that you absolutely have to have, like, because there was one person who's like, hey, I've been dying to play this class. Can you at least look it over, see if it's fair? If you say no, then, you know, that's fine. That's your purview. But that was like the one exception. But he was just like PHB, because like, you know, because every time they, and I think this is like, this is a problem only with power gaming. Right? Like power gamers, like myself, I used to be like totally into power gaming. I think a lot of like, you know, World of Warcraft players, as you would understand, do, right? Like, oh, I'm sorry, are you a paladin tank? Well, you can't come with us. But power gaming, like every time they release a new set of spells or a new class that has unique mechanics, there's a chance that they're going to break something, right? For instance, they're like, oh, this class, you know, technically can use, what was it, level 7 is like the simulacrum or simulacrum. I can't ever say that word. Simulacrum, there you go. Yeah. And then you can create another copy of yourself who can cast simulacrum, who can cast another copy of themselves who can use simulacrum. And then there's like a certain class that could like abuse that, and so they could cast it twice, so they could make 4 copies of themselves in the next round.
That's crazy.
Or they use time stop. Then you do 4 rounds, and then you're like, oh, by the way, I've made 16 of myself, and we're all going to cast. It's like, all right, like, please, just don't do that. Right? What if?
So I actually, funny story about that exact scenario is,
oh my God,
my first campaign ran for a year and a half, and it was 5 to 20. We played it every single Saturday, and had a power gamer, min-maxer kind of person, but he's exceptionally good at role play. So, and he's always been like, hey, this might be broken. If you want me to stop, you know, and don't do this, that's fine. You know, we're here for the story. We're streaming most of it. So I'm like, cool, it's fine. So my world has evolved. It's a homebrew world that I've been playing 3 years now, a little over 3 years.
Oh, wow.
And the history stays consistent, and it just keeps progressing into the future more and more. So right now in my world, because he did the simulacrum, and when they got up to level 20 and wish and had like spell gems and stuff. And so my world now, there is like 100 of this wizard just running around doing various things. And
that's
so
great.
I hope my players aren't, and nobody's listening to this, but one of my players now, this is like 300 years into the future. His backstory is tied into a vendetta against this wizard, and this wizard is one of those simulacrums that just kind of went rogue and started doing some bad things. And we're playing into it. I was like, no, it's cool. After the campaign's over, there can be 100 of you. That's fine. I'll use that.
That's a good point. Like I think a lot of times, like it gets tough, like, especially players like power gamers and stuff, but like leaning into the madness and the insanity sometimes can be really fun. And especially like bringing out, being like, all right, you know, there's that's great. I love that. But then, you know, there's always consequences and unforeseen consequences, right? Are really fun. And as long as I think your players are okay with just having fun with that kind of stuff, right? Being like, not all your simulacrum are friendly. Some of them turned out to be an asshole, you know, or something like that, you know, like, that's just fun. I love that. I love the idea of like 100 of this one wizard wandering around, just kind of like causing.
I have this one shot planned at some point in time for somebody to be charged with like wrangling up, like going around and herding a bunch of these because they're just malfunctioning and going crazy out in the world somewhere. And I'll run that someday.
That sounds like a That
I
sounds like
mean, have you ever seen? Do you watch Rick and Morty
mini
at all?
campaign.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Love Rick and Morty.
Yeah, Rick and Morty, basically just all the Ricks running around, all their Mortys, and
Yeah. It's just a whole world of Ricks and Mortys, and I love it.
yeah. And there could be a rule. Renegade says, and there could also be a rule that only one simulacrum per person. Like, and I'm a big rule stomper. Like, even if it says by raw you can do something, if I feel like it's not in the spirit, because that's what I think. I'm like, what's the spirit of the spell? What's the spirit of this ability or something like that? And I feel if something's not in the spirit of the ability, like a simulacrum, casting simulacrum, I'll just be like, no, you can't do it. Like a copy of a copy, or if you've seen the movie Multiplicity, which is one of the greatest movies ever made.
The greatest. Nice.
it's literally one of my favorite movies.
Yeah.
But you make a copy of a copy, and it's just not quite as good. And you make a copy of that, it gets weird. It gets
a
weird.
little worse.
Yeah. It's like 75% of the intelligence is transferred over. And then 75% of 75% gets a little wonky.
That's really fun, though. That could be kind of like a fun thing to explore in game. Yeah.
You just like, and then you can pull out the minis with the eyes that stick different directions. And you're like, here you go. And you're like, oh. Just like drooling. Casting,
and then when
like
people are like, "Oh, why does your
spells.
mini look so horrible?" And you're like, "Oh, it was supposed to be this way.
Yeah,
it's intentional."
Yeah.
In the other room,
yeah. You could do that. Renegade says you can just make it like your previous one disappears when they cast it again. I mean, that's a perfectly. I think that's a great way. You know. I mean, as long as you're not doing it in like the heat of combat, that's a fun way to let your players know that that's not going to fly, right?
Yeah.
And that's going to be like
part of playing with, kind of random or new people, and then playing with people that and it's like this wizard. He was like, I'm going to ask, like, when I hit this level, I can do this. If you're not okay with it, let me know. And I'm like,
exactly.
I'm okay with it. But know that if it comes at combat wise and all this, I would like to limit it, because I'm not trying to have you have like 15 minutes worth of combat in one turn.
Oh man, yeah. And that was the worst. 3.5 clerics had like summon animal, and then you were like summon 1d12 weasels, and you were like, oh my god, you're playing 13 characters every round now.
Yeah. Let's roll health for 13 weasels.
They're not gonna live very long, but still, like, you have just tripled the length of this battle for really nothing great, right?
Yeah.
You really
anytime I have druids, I'm like, okay, I want to know what you want to wild shape as. And especially if I'm playing in person, like my wife played a druid and she summoned, and I was like, okay, this is an excuse for me to go buy a bunch of minis. You understand this, right? Like, okay, I'm going to go buy a bunch of minis and paint them now because I need beasts. And okay, cool. And I'm here's little cards with their stat blocks and stuff. And because we need to be able to do this on the fly. So, and if you're going to have those spells, really know them and know that when the DM, and it says the DM chooses what this creature is, I mean, this is what here's 4 crocodiles. Like, that's what you're getting, because this is what I have right here.
Yeah. You're like, whatever I grab is coming out.
Yeah.
And what is this? Oh god, it's a beholder.
Here.
God, spells. One of my biggest pet peeves. I harp on this way too much. My turns. I even timed my turns because I'm insane. But I wanted to know at my table the average time it took for players' turns from start to finish. From the start of like your turn, go, and then from the next your turn, that's when you stopped. And my turns, because I play melee characters a lot of times, I'll play like paladins or fighters. So take that as you will. They generally tend to be a lot shorter, a lot less dice rolling, a lot more straightforward. My turns, generally 15 to 30 seconds. And this is biased because I knew I was timing myself. But I'm like, what am I going to do? How fast can I make these turns? Wizards. Oh my God.
And bards.
On average, 13 to 15 minutes per turn.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's like here's the scenario, and even if they're planning for it, and then somebody else's turn is before them, and something happens, and they're like, "Oh, bards and wizards, like wizards have so much that they can do that is different because all their spells, and bards have so much action economy. It's like, let me think about my action, let me think about my bonus action, and I get to do this, and everybody's reaction gets to do this. Now suddenly everybody can spend the reaction right now to move, and let's do this." And you're like, "Oh, wow, you're not wasting time. A lot is happening, but damn, like this is a lot of time happening right here."
Exactly. It's wild, because I think one of the things that can make combat really, really exciting, at least for me, is when turns and like turnover is really, really quick. When you're like flying by the seat of your pants, like I tried once, I got a 30-second timer. You have to decide everything you want to do in 30 seconds. And we had this big board with a timer, and I had a button, and I would just smash it and be like, "Go, what are you doing?" And like, "I'm doing this. And we'd we'd roll it out, because it would sometimes take over 30 seconds to roll it all out. But like you had to decide everything, and it was like, boom, go. And it was really fun. I mean, obviously it's give and take, right? Like sometimes people are like, "God, like I'm so annoyed. I was just stressed out. I wasn't having fun," which I totally understand, right? But like the feel of the combat felt frantic. It felt like you weren't making the best choices, because you have, right? Like in the game, one turn is 6 seconds, right? So you have 6 seconds to do everything. And imagine all of the things that happen from the enemies and the players have happened in 6 seconds. If you were to be like, 6 seconds, go, all the dice go rolling, you'd be like, "What just happened?" And be like, "Yes, exactly."
Yeah. That's what I kind of like about that. I've toyed with that timer, like a 1 minute timer or something like that. And because you've got to make this, okay, so you've got like 10 goblins about to attack you. A wizard's going to be like, "Oh, fireball. Let's get rid of all of them." Whereas a player's going to be like, "Okay, well, if there's this many coming through, I can get over here and do this because I know he's going to take care of this." But realistically, I mean, you're probably just going to be like, "I'm going to try and blow them all up because big boom,"
Yeah. I mean, I feel like the wizard's going to cast fireball no matter what.
Right.
Anyway, you can be like, there's a fountain in the middle of this town square, and I cast fireball. I don't care. Anything you say to me, DM, right now, I don't care. It doesn't matter how many warnings you give me. I just want to cast fireball now. But
I'm waiting for that.
I mean, and that's the other thing too. Like, I think cross-table chat can really pull you out of like it's like sometimes I think players will play by like council. Every player's turn is a council of like
decisions.
Right. And which I think can be helpful for a new player who doesn't know what to do, right? Like, I think that's a great way of playing, especially if you have like a seasoned player who will be like, "Here's 3 options of things you can do. You got to choose just one of them." But ultimately, I think like one thing I don't like about like a council running turn by turn by turn is I feel like those players, again, power gamers like myself, tend to just be like, "Here's the optimal route for you." And the next player's turn, you're like, "Here's the optimal route for you," right? Like, and it becomes like one person playing 5 characters. I don't know.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, I think try the timer out. Definitely know that you're gonna get a lot of pushback.
Here's the thing that I want to ask you though, is that because I would suggest maybe trying out a timer, and I would be more of like Gup, where maybe like a minute is fine. It's not like you have to be like so quick where it's like 30 seconds, go, come on, go. It's like, I think a minute is okay to figure out what you're going to do. But I want to ask you, James, like, because the thing that I think that ruins it for me is like the timer is a good idea to keep things going, but I don't want people to feel like they can't really describe like how it happens. If they like roll really well, I don't want them to feel like they can't describe like the really cool moment of like, okay, so I take my sword and I, that part's cool for the story,
No, so what you do
you
is
allow that, or will be part of the 30 seconds?
No. So you have 30 seconds to say what you're gonna do.
Like, figure it out. Okay.
I'm gonna move over here and I'm gonna attack, and if I kill this guy, then I'm gonna move somewhere else and attack again, right? Or a wizard says, "I'm gonna cast this spell here and then I'm gonna move over there." and then you have the extra time to role play it out. It's not like you have to have the whole turn within the 30 seconds.
Figured out.
It's just like you need to make decisions quickly because you're in the heat of battle, and it's it works at some tables. It doesn't work at other tables.
It's also kind of thematic that way, because like, here's what I did, but then, and everybody, the other players are going to tune in and out because you're going back and forth with what you're doing. But then at the end, you're going to captivate them because you'll be like, okay, all that happened. Now what you see happen is my character go over here and a big explosion. Then I run off to the side and, you kind of RP it. And then the other players get to hear the RP of what you're doing. So all at once. Yeah. I like that.
It can be fun. And I think
Gup, are you more of a person where a DM where you kind of like allow them to explain it, what they're doing RP wise every single turn, or is it more of like you figure out like, oh, this is a really awesome roll, explain this time because it's a really cool hit?
A little bit of both. Like if somebody has the need to be like, I'm going to do this, and I want, kind of explain what they're doing, that's cool. Or like if somebody's just like, I'm going to firebolt him, and then they're done with their turn, I just kind of read it. If they're wanting to elaborate on it, sure. If they don't, then I'll be like, okay, you throw the firebolt and it hits the dude in the throat, and now he's like drunken over and his beard's on fire. So I'll kind of just do a quick explanation for him and then move on.
I like it. Nice. Okay.
Keep it a little lively, I guess.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
And one of the things too, I think, a lot of times, especially when you have a lot of players at a table, right? You said you had 7 when you started off. 7 can be a tremendously long amount of time. If you imagine everyone taking even 5 minutes, right? Imagine everyone takes 5 minutes, which isn't that long, realistically. You have 7 players. That means your players, if the enemies don't get to go, get 1 turn every 35 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Oh
so
my God.
Realistically, if you have a group, even if you have a group of 5, right, and people are taking 2 minutes, that means your turns happen once every 10 minutes, which I know D&D isn't a super fast-paced game, but when you think about it in terms like that, 10 minutes is a long time for someone's brain to like tune out if it's not moving fast, things aren't exciting, and you're not anticipating. I think, I don't know. I push for the timer. It's hard to do online, I feel like, because everyone's like, latencies and things like that.
Yeah.
But I think like what you can do too is that when you play with a timer, you can even like eventually take the timer away, and the group has already changed their culture and they get into that mindset, and then it's already like a fast-paced thing that they're doing, which can be really, really fun. And you don't need that timer because that takes, a huge weight off of you as a DM to have to like flip it on.
Well, I mean, you're right, because some players do, some players will turn. Oh gosh. It's a lot of timers. Some players will tune out if someone else's turn is taking too long, and like the round is so long that it's like, oh, I had to wait a half an hour for my turn. It's like that's such a long time to wait and still be excited for your turn. So
and then when you go that long and then you're like, oh, I rolled a nat 1 on my spell attack. I cast it. You're like, okay, all this time it's finally my turn. Level 3 guiding bolt, natural 1. 30 more minutes, I'll be back.
Right, level 4 fighter. I run up and I attack. I miss. My turn is done. I mean,
I am done.
That's what it is, right? Like,
oh God.
and I think it's tough too, because I have to recognize when it's your turn, it feels good, feels fun. You want to make the most of it, especially if you're going 5 minutes per turn. So like, you want to enjoy that moment, but it's tough because you have to really realize like every time it's your moment, it's not somebody else's moment, right?
Yeah. And that's why I've tried to incorporate them on stuff like that. Like, it may be Joe's turn to throw a firebolt and Rodney's been waiting for 20 minutes, but okay, I'm going to flavor that firebolt to go right by Rodney's nose, and like you smell the heat, and then they kind of, he's like, oh, my name, what's going on? My name. Okay.
Yeah, that's great.
Because I think one of the hardest parts about DMing, at least for me, is to include as many players as possible in as many aspects as possible, right? I used to play a paladin, and he didn't have, and his divine smite was divine friendship instead. And what I used to do is every time I used divine smite, I would pass d8s around the table and be like, all right, we use the power of our friendship together to do damage, and everyone got to roll, and it's a small thing, but it has a big impact. So things like that, like the bolt going by somebody's head, right, twos them in, and it puts them in a mindset of like, oh man, this is a real living battle, and things are going on, and things are happening to me, even when it's not necessarily my turn or an enemy's directly attacking.
And that could be a thing that I think that even players can do too, is like try to add in what people around you have been doing and try to like place that into like the summary of what you're doing as well as part of the whole team of what's going on, so it can make the whole thing feel a lot more like dramatic and like epic if you kind of add it. People around you are also doing it at the same time sometimes as well.
Yeah, and it's fun to see players play off of each other that way. And I highly encourage that, and what I've yet to figure out a good way to encourage that, and they do it sometimes, and I love seeing it. But I'm like, what can I do to make them want to do that more?
One of the things I've actually been trying
combo
out,
moves.
This is one of the things I've been trying out. Instead of doing like initiative order, I do initiative blocks. So like, say you have 3 of the players are, you have the monsters here, and then you have 3 players here, and then there's like another monster here. If they have the initiative orders and they're touching each other, I try and say that their turns are simultaneous. So I say, okay, it's your 3 turns right now. What do you guys want to do? And now that they can be like, oh, okay, like I'm going to collaborate with you because our turns are at the same time. And I think
that's neat. Yeah,
it's a new mindset. It's tough for people to get their heads around, but I think what it does is it encourages a little bit more cooperation. It definitely slows things down at first, because people are like, all right, so what if I go here? Well, actually, if I go here, you can do. And but again, 30-second timer, go. What do you guys do?
I think experienced players will take that and run, because like you did that last session. And I was with Kate and Melissa, and at first we were kind of a little bit shaky and kind of like, I'm not sure, like who goes first? But after a while, we were very like, okay, Melissa wants to do a really cool wind gust move, and I'm gonna add into that with my own like wind stuff as well, and power up her move. So it's like you kind of have these little like kind of like almost like Marvel combo moves together, and it's like really cool. So
I love that.
I thought it worked really well. Yeah,
that's real neat. I like that.
It's and you, as a DM, I feel like you have to yes and a lot more in those situations. Where they're like, if we cast fireball together, is it a fireball? And you're like, we're gonna find out.
Yeah,
here we go. All the oxygen is burned out of the room. You're all suffocated. Dead.
You can't breathe. Yeah.
Nice. I like it.
Now there's a fog cloud, and you all have disadvantage on attacks. But that was a really big boom.
Yeah, dude.
It was really good, though. It was really good, guys.
Because I love the idea. Like, that's something I feel like Wizards could lean into. Is like, if 2 people cast Cure Wounds at the same time, on somebody, does it multiply the effect of it, right? Maybe it's not as strong as like, if 2 level 1 spells isn't quite a level 2 spell, but is it a level 1 spell plus or something like that? I always love the idea of playing with stuff like that. Being able to combine spells or turn like 2 level 2 spells into like a fog cloud by using fireball in a water spell or something. I don't know.
Have you played Baldur's Gate 3 by any chance?
I have not. I downloaded it. I have it on my hard drive, and I'm like, do I wait to play it?
No spoilers or anything, but one thing that they did with weapons, I would like to find a way to implement it in a game, because I think it'd be really fun for martial classes especially. But like, different types of weapons have different types of like kind of like attacks or something you can do, or like a ranged, like a bow can pierce and stop somebody's movement once every so often. And it's like a special, like your weapon has one special property to it that you can use. And I'm like, that'd be kind of neat to interpret into 5e. And I've been kind of working on something like that.
I love that idea, because I think 3.5, you said you've been looking at 3.5. The weapons felt much more unique, each weapon. It was really simple stuff like, like you have a D12 instead of 2D6. Because 2d6 technically has an average damage higher than a 1d12, right? So people get really upset about that, but they're like, yeah, but the maul, the great maul does 3 times crit damage.
Yeah.
Whereas, so and it doesn't quite even out damage wise, but oh man, does it feel good when you crit?
Yeah.
3d12 damage when you crit.
And then toss a smite on top of it. Like, I mean, you feel like the king.
Yeah. So like they did a lot of that stuff and they played around with it. And I feel like in 5th edition, they really tried to make everything easy and simple for players. But they didn't give the like, I guess, supplemental advance. It's like taking AD&D and going back to regular Dungeons and Dragons, right? And I know it's still a complicated game, but like for people who have played it a lot, I felt like I lost something. I lost a little bit of the uniqueness of weapons in the game. Yeah. Because whether you use and it's like slashing, piercing, bludgeoning is like non-existent in 5th edition.
Bludgeoning is really the only one that's super different because of like skeletons and stuff. But that's
most things magic. It's magic, right? It's like magic damage or nothing, right? And that's one of the things I've tried to really implement is like, here's an iron golem. Slashing damage literally does nothing. Piercing damage literally does nothing. Your arrow, you're shooting at a slab of metal, right?
Yeah. What are you gonna do?
And like, unless you're gonna try and like shove stuff up into the gears or something, if you can, like or you cast fireball on a metal construct. Great. It's now a hot metal construct coming after you.
There's a lot of like that almost mesh together feel with 5e. I think that's one way to put it. They just squished a lot of things in together, to make it, like you said, a little less unique. And they focused more, I think, on storytelling in 5e than they did like number crunching mechanics. And I know people like that, but then there's a lot of people who are like, well, what if I want to do this? And you're like, oh, well, I'm going to have to come up with something because there's not a rule for that.
Yeah.
I mean, I still run bludgeoning great mauls and stuff in my games. I'm still like, that's 3 times. Anything that's a D12 instead of 2d6, 3 times crit. And I'm a big fan. I don't know if do you run any homebrew rules, like specifically in your games?
I do. Bonus. The ones that go across the board are healing potions are a bonus action for you and an action to administer to somebody else. And then my table is they opted for a hardcore death rule that I kind of came up with in session 0 of our last campaign, and it was if you die and you fail your saving throw, those saving throw failures last until a long rest. Every time you go unconscious, you get a level of exhaustion. And those stack, so like somebody gets knocked unconscious 3 times, you've got 3 levels of exhaustion. And it's 6? I think you're dead. Like you die. Yep. That's a die. You
that's a big one that I think that should have been in the core game, because there's like the pogo stick mechanic, right? Because as a paladin, I remember playing as a paladin, you have lay on hands, right? And you really only need 1 HP.
1
right?
point.
And I would run around to people and be like, 1 HP. You get 1. Yep. I have 60. I could give you, but I'm gonna give you 1 60 times. And I would just run around the battlefield being like, 1 HP, and you get an HP, and you. Or you have you have healing word versus like cure wounds, and healing word is so much more powerful because you can do it from far away as a bonus action. And it's like, does it really matter if you get 8 or 4 health points? Right? Like
no,
it literally doesn't, especially at higher levels of play, right? Because it's like,
oh yeah, higher level play definitely, and that's why I was like, well, okay, so exhaustion. So yeah, you're back up with 4 HP, but you have a point of exhaustion. You have disadvantage on all your attacks. You went unconscious again. So I killed somebody with those rules at the very first session. We had just had our artwork done. It was the satyr with the whip and stuff. And so we contacted the artist, and story-wise, I didn't just allow it to happen necessarily, but story-wise, it was within the realm of possibility for them to go to like this cleric that's an NPC and have him revived. Cost them almost all of their gold that they had in the party from the start of the game. And then we contacted the artist, was like, I need you to put a scar across his face. It's permanent, can't be healed. And so they did that. And I was like, do y'all still want to run these hardcore rules? Yes, we do. And new campaign started, said, do you still want these hardcore rules? Y'all died a lot. And y'all fell unconscious a lot. And they're like, yeah. And I was like, okay,
It's
cool.
great.
James,
Cool.
I think you found the wrong table. You should have been playing with these guys.
Also, I love one of my favorite rules because I think people play differently. It genuinely changes the culture of the table for the better. Is when you roll death saving throws, it's a secret from everybody, including
like
the DM.
That. Yeah. Oh, even
No
the
one
DM,
knows
yeah. Huh.
because, and you're just like, I'm gonna try and heal, and then you don't even know, and you'd be like, that person's unconscious, and then like when they get to you, they're like, I cast healing, I cast cure wounds. All right, and you're like, okay, and you turn to the person, and then they have to be like, and nothing happens.
Nothing happens. Oh my God.
Oh no, we waited
It's
too
brutal.
long.
That's
Right?
a good
'Cause you're
story,
like,
though.
That's their second saving throw, and everyone's like doing the math. They're like, all right, technically, as long as they didn't fail and roll a 1, they're still safe. We can heal them on this turn, and it.
Yeah, I like that though. I've seen people that do that, hide it from the other players, the death saves and stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's neat. I like that. Yeah.
Because I feel like if you were in a battle and one of your close friends, like was beaten to death, you'd be like, oh my gosh, or at least unconscious. You'd be like, get him up as fast as possible.
Well, and doing it that way gives a little more merit to like the medicine skill. Somebody says, can I tell if they're still on death's door? I'll give you a medicine check. That lets you use a rule in the game a little better because, some of the features like, who really runs where you're rolling for survival or nature all the time. So it's, and if you're proficient in survival and, you might see one survival roll every couple of sessions or something like that. Sometimes you might see a bunch, but, add a little merit to the skills.
To the lesser used skills.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean,
It's
I
not
will
all
agree. Like,
perception.
when you're able to hear like the dice rolls, the group kind of like changes what they're doing based off of like how many death saves they still have. Like, oh, they only have 1 failure so far. We're fine. We're good. Keep going.
Yeah.
So it's like, not knowing definitely will help. Not be
like,
y'all roll in person too, right? Like your physical dice.
Yes.
Yeah. That's a whole nother thing too when you're not seeing the dice roll on the screen and stuff like that. Yeah. One of my favorite things to do is at the end of the session one time I was like, I picked up like a whole bunch of D6s and I threw them, not even in my dice tray because it's got felt, I threw them on my table and that way the microphone picked it up and I said, all right, well, I'll see y'all next week. And that's where we're going to end.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That is awesome.
That's where we end the day.
And that's where we end for the evening. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Exhausted to death, me every Friday.
Yeah, but dang. Yeah, that's a true mood. Yeah.
Well, it's getting to be about that time. We usually go for about an hour, so we might start wrapping this up. Gup, what like you're doing a Kickstarter coming up soon?
It's TBD. I'm hoping to have that information soon. I don't know exactly when.
So we'll look out for that. Red Beans and Dice is your here we go, Twitter and Instagram, and then on Twitch, check out the Golden Mug. Right, just all one word, the Golden Mug, as I put in chat. Check that out on Twitch. Jeez, I don't know. My brain is small. I have the small pea brain. Check that out.
Yeah, but
on
they play every Wednesdays and Sundays, right?
Yep. That's Wednesday is on
Sunday.
I think is over. I think conflicting schedules happened for Wednesdays, but that's still up in the air.
So just
Sundays,
the one day.
yes.
So it's Sundays.
Sundays.
So check out if you need a weekend show.
Yeah.
Or if you want to just watch the VOD anywhere later in the week. Check
sure.
it out. And you'll have our friend Gup as the DM. Do you DM on Sundays?
Sunday evenings is when we run our campaign, and we're starting a new one on the 7th of August. So our last one ended. We took about a month to get our characters in play. We're doing individual session zeros with each player to get them kind of grounded into the world.
Awesome.
And tried that out for the first time, and so far it's going really well, and I like it. So our new campaign is, we're going into space. I know Spelljammer's coming out. We're starting this a couple weeks before Spelljammer comes out, and it's not a Spelljammer campaign. We're going to be using some of the rules from it and some of the races and stuff like that. But it's kind of more of a I say Treasure Planet is Spelljammer, but it's more of a kind of like the Orville. I don't know if you've seen that show or not, but kind of space exploration.
So much.
Yeah. So that's kind of the feel we're going with, and
great.
And Seth MacFarlane's joining you?
I'm trying. He's still TBD. You know,
He's
I called
busy.
him, and
he's busy. He
for some
does a
reason
lot.
his assistants say you're a stalker. Get away. I'm like, oh, come on. I just need him. Okay.
Oh, cool.
I did want to answer BPM Drummer if I could about the paintbrushes. They asked again in chat. Because it's really quick. The best paintbrushes to use are the cheap ones, because no matter if they're good or bad, you're going to go through a whole bunch of them and just get really fine tip cheap brushes. Spend like $3 at Hobby Lobby and get like 3 or 4.
Yeah, and they have
and you'll do wonders.
Paintbrush packs, I think, at a lot of those game stores. They like just have a pack of brushes, and I think like kind of you got to just try them out for yourselves. I know like we were saying about Technique, some like dry brushes are like a little bit bigger, or detail brushes are a little bit finer, less hairs and stuff like that.
I have Lord Tiny Brush is a brush I have a name for, and I've cut all but one hair off of it. Yeah. And every time I use it, I'm like, all right, Lord Tiny Brush, it's your time to shine. Let's do this, people.
You're like, damn it, you let me down again.
Yeah, every time. I still love it.
All right. Well, with that, I think we're going to say goodnight. Thank you so much, Gup, for coming on and
thanks for
chit-chatting
coming on
with us.
here. It was an absolute delight. So
yeah, we'll have to have you on again and just talk D&D all day. Check out the Golden Mug on Sunday nights on Twitch, or if you want to catch socials, Red Beans and Dice on Twitter and Instagram.
Hey guys, it's Bobby from the Cup. If you enjoy DM Office Hours, check out our D&D campaign. It's on every Monday at 7 p.m. on twitch.tv/MinusOneCHA, or just watch DM Office Hours every Friday at 6 p.m. Take care. I'll just hang out here.